We continue to discover Steinitz by the book Steinitz Move by Move, and this is game 5 against Henry Bird. Henry Bird, famous Henry Bird, bird of the bird defense, of the bird opening, not defense, sorry. Here the judgment of the author about Henry Bird is not really good, but honestly is not bad either, because the result is not bad. Here it seems that Bird challenged Steinitz to a match, and it was played just shortly after Andersen, the match with Andersen. Bird was an accountant, so he had a real job, no? A real job, not like Steinitz, that he was a chess player. And yet, this match was broken off by Bird because he had pressing business commitments, but the result of the match was +6 for Steinitz, -5 = 5, okay? Or -6 for Bird, he lost 6 games, he won 5 and he drew 5. Now, only one game difference, I don't know. Obviously, we are speaking of like 16 games. 16 games means that it could be played over 2 weeks. Yeah, over 2 weeks it's normal that a guy that has a job at a certain point has to deal with his own business, right? In any case, Steinitz is white, Bird is black. This was the 13th match game in London, 1866, and Steinitz opened with e4, Bird plays e6, so this is a French defense. d4, d5, knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5, bishop e7, e takes d5, e takes d5, and now this could be honestly an exchange French, so the exchange variation of a French, bishop d3 and bishop g4. Steinitz had overpressed and lost the 11th match game in one of the main lines. So in the 11th match game, instead of taking on d5, he played e5, but honestly also that is part of the theory, right? And in fact now the author says, and now reverts to a form of exchange variation that leads to symmetrical and solid pawn structures, with only one open file on the board, the E file, okay? Along which the major pieces may eventually be exchanged, and is generally considered quite harmless. Steinitz's choice, however, isn't entirely devoid of ambition, and Bird's 6 move probably isn't black's best reply. What is white's plan, and why should there be any doubt about Bird's 6 move? Well, yeah, 6 bishop g4, I'm not sure it's really good. I think, yeah, instead of this, this would have made sense because it gets the file fourth. Maybe this is the way. Let's see what is white plan. White plan is knight g e2, followed by castle, so, and queen d2. As you can see, it's a good plan, honestly, because bishop g4 gives white the chance to develop the knight, so that's why it's not so good. Instead, it would have been better to let white play this and then you pin it. Okay, let's see what happened in the game, okay? Let's see what happened. He played f3 instead of knight g2. Bishop e6, but f3 is kind of dangerous because it can start an attack, you know. So you give a tempo to the enemy. There is no reason to give him a tempo, and generally you want to find the best square for your piece right away. you don't want to continue to move the same piece over and over and over. Knight g2, c5. So bird attack the center even before he castle. Again, it doesn't make much sense. Here they offer comments about it. This rush move, however, is unjustifiably impulsive in a way that bird all too often found hard to resist and regretted afterwards. Bird aimed to bring about a tactical battle in open play and is ready to accept an isolated queen pawn without sufficient piece development in place to support it. Black should still have kept the game close and played castle, knight c6 or knight h5. Okay, it makes sense. You should try first to finish the development, yeah, and then you eventually attack, yeah, but you don't want your king exposed, right? Let's see what happens. D takes c5, bishop takes c5, queen d2, and knight b d7. Already lacking any convincing follow-up, Bird gradually drifts into a middle game in which he loses his d-pawn. Yeah, not a good idea. After the text move, white awkwardly pins both of black knights and prepares a long castle, which is critical. Okay, so how did the game continue? The game continued with bishop b5. Okay, like he said, pinning this. Now he returns back, bishop e7. Black plays to break both pins after castle, and Stein is intended to take. Okay. Why is this good for white? White would not only win black d-pawn outright, but also significantly weaken black kingside pawns. Yeah, if you lose this, probably you have a weakening on the king side. And again, the f3 pawn is not a joke, is giving a tempo to white for an attack. Let's see what happened. Okay, so after bishop e7, he long castle, so everybody is piling up on d5. He finally castle, a little too late. Bishop takes d7 and knight takes d7. For example, what would happen if he would take here, right? Let's see, the author wrote knight f4, rook f d8, bishop takes f6, bishop takes f6, knight f takes d5, bishop takes c3, knight takes c3, and queen d7. But defense would be difficult. Okay, but the defense would be difficult. But I don't know. He thinks that the defense of this position would be difficult because now black has two open files against that king side, queen side. That is the king side because it's where the king stays at the moment. Plus the fact that this bishop is attacking this. That's a fact. Yeah, possible, but yeah, at least here there is an attack for black. Here there is an attack. So at the cost of a pawn, there is an attack. The problem is, can actually black deliver? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. And what would you like? Would you prefer white position or black position? In any case, a good thing, because this position is nice. If one wants to learn, he should play it with white or with black against someone like a training partner, because that will help you a lot to understand positions that are quiet, but you want to learn how to attack or how to defend. So this is a very nice position to practice on. Let me bring back the position to what it was. Okay, so this was the position. The author showed what happens if black try to play queen takes d7. In the game it was played knight takes d7, after which bishop takes e7, queen takes e7, knight f4, again everybody's piling up on d5, knight b6 trying to defend d5, rook h e1 because it pins the bishop e6. And let's see what happens. Rook fd8, queen e3, and now black plays knight c4, but is a dubious move. While fast running out of any resource, black might still have tried to fish in the difficult endgame waters arising after queen f6. So if the author thinks queen f6 was the move to play instead of this, and he gives a line. Here there is a trap, okay? But this, because we are at move 17, the trap will become obvious on black 24th move, so 4 moves later. However, it seems that, and here you see the importance of being able to visualize, calculate. It seems that Steinitz saw one move more and he was able to see the refutation of the trap played by Bird. Here exercise, can you really spot Bird's 24th move and its refutation? If you can't, I would advise you to try to pause the video and find out, because honestly, if you just watch games, yeah, well, nice, but you will not learn anything. You need to watch a game now, like now, and pause the video and do the exercise. That's the only way to improve. So, because in some forum I read, many games, but I didn't improve. Well, you didn't improve because you didn't stop the video, or you didn't stop the game in that moment, close the book, and you start to think. If you don't do that job, I'm sorry. How do you think you're going to improve? So, the important thing is that we have this author, Craig Pritchett, that is telling us, hey, this is a critical position, you need to stop and think, and that's the greatest thing, right? So the game continues with knight f takes d5, and here, for example, you need to think what happens on knight takes e3, right? So that's kind of important. What happens after knight takes e3? In the game was played queen f8. So I will give you a minute, try to pause the video, and I will continue to show you what happens over knight takes e3, okay? Knight takes e7, check, right? King f8, knight g6, h takes g6, rook takes d8, rook takes d8, and now there is rook takes e3. It seems that this kind of endgame would be won probably for white. Why? Well, you must read a manual on the middle game wrote by the world champion Ov. Ov really show you how the queenside pawn majority can be converted in one pass pawn, and once it's converted, the enemy needs to give material to stop that pawn, and then you win the game, okay? So now I will pause the video and go back. Okay, if I didn't make any mistake, we were in this position. White played knight takes d5. Instead of knight takes e3 that we just saw, black played queen f8. White continues with queen f4. Bishop takes d5. Knight takes d5, rook takes d5, and rook takes d5, and now there is finally the possible trap, the checkmate trap, queen b4. We are at move 21. Black has sacrificed an exchange to set up an apparently dangerous double attack against e1 and b2. Okay, so what do you do? What is wrong with this? Okay, so maybe you should have seen it. That was what the trap was. I think you need to pause the video again and try to find out. So the refutation of this trap was to let black take the pawns, but come out with the rook on e1 more active, let's say. Here we go, rook e4, queen takes b2, king d1, queen b1, king e2, queen takes e2, king e1, b5. That's interesting, huh? Yeah. And rook d7. So here white is on his own time thinking to make a sacrifice on here, because obviously he will play this. You sacrifice this, when he takes, you go here and it's a checkmate, right? So as you can see, the games of that period are kind of very exciting with all these traps that we can learn about, right? Rook f8, rook takes f7. This is a beautiful game. Why should white still expect to win after the game continuation? Let's see what is the game continuation. It's queen b1, king f2, queen takes a2. Notice this, please, because this is interesting, because they are on the same diagonal. King g3, and nothing. Queen a3. Takes. Queen g5. Obviously, at this point, white doesn't want to exchange the queen, because you must remember, yes, he has a rook and this is a knight, but two pawns, if they reach here, they are worth a rook. A rook will not be able to stop them, and so it will have to give up on one pawn and the other will take the rook. So it's a kind of endgame knowledge, which is very important. Queen d6, king h3, queen d7. Let's see what happens, because I'm curious. Keeping queens on the board allows white to set up direct mating threats and loses quickly. Critically, white also wins the endgame after blah blah blah. Okay, let's see what happens here. How does white win that endgame? We are going to see it in a minute. g4, h6, queen g6, knight d6, rook d4, queen b7. Now he's kind of desperate. He's trying to set up, black is desperate at this point. He's trying to get a perpetual check. queen takes e6, queen takes f3, queen g3, queen f6. That's interesting. Yeah. Why didn't play this then? Because if he plays this, it goes to give check. So this would have been interesting, right? And I think the author should have, because if he plays this, okay, there is no other check. That's the problem. There is no other check. What a pity. Okay. So queen f6, queen d3, e5, rook d8, king f7, and queen d5, and black resigns. So tips and endpoints, only 5 main games so far, but note that one of the main threads that runs through all of them is the fundamental importance of good tactics to success in chess. Small mistakes as well as the occasional clear error crop up frequently in chess, even at the very top. In all of these games, Steinitz got more of the tactics right and reduced his own error count much more impressively than his opponents, especially at critical points. If you want to improve in chess or at chess, always work hard on your tactics and calculation skills. Steinitz's overall evaluation and game plans also impress. Good plans depend on correct evaluation of a wide range of material, structural, and other more dynamic factors, such as good development, space, and time advantages. Note, however, that correctness in chess is rarely absolute, which points both to the existence of valid yet competing interpretation and to a constant need to reconsider and make any essential adjustments. Okay, here the author gives some advice and then it continues on chapter 2, that is achieving supremacy. And maybe we will watch also some games from chapter 2. I hope you enjoyed this one and see you next time.